Transfer students at UW-Madison deserve better, period. We have the courage, resilience, and open-mindedness to start from scratch at a brand new school, yet many of us end up feeling isolated and overwhelmed by UW's culture from the minute we arrive at orientation. Many assume that because we already attended a year or more of college, we don't need the extra support that freshman students get during their first year on campus, but that couldn't be further from the truth. I'm a transfer student from UW-Parkside, and I started at UW-Madison during my sophomore year. My situation is a little unconventional, but then again, all transfer students are somewhat unconventional, right? I skipped a grade of school, so I started my first year when I was even younger than some freshmen. I had already completed a year of college though, so I was technically a sophomore. It felt strange to be living in an apartment when I was just barely 18 years old because I was not offered a housing contract due to my transfer student status. I struggled with imposter syndrome for a long time, feeling like I was a step behind everyone socially and academically. Many other transfers can relate to my initial feelings of anxiety and loneliness.
So the transition moving to UW-Madison to a very large campus, it wasn't that super easy for me. I feel really lost my first semester.
For the first semester when I come to UW-Madison, it was a little bit overwhelming, and it's like my first time to take a university bus.
The expectations at Madison are far higher than they are at Milwaukee, or the classes that I had taken at Milwaukee.
So, what can we take away from this? First of all, social inclusion, both inside and outside the classroom, is extremely important for transfer students. We often come from much smaller schools, so we may be overwhelmed by how much more effort it can take to find connections here. Additionally, a slightly larger proportion of transfer students have marginalized identities. Many transfers are people of color, first-generation college students, international students, veterans, and lower income. Transfer stigma often just adds an extra barrier towards finding a community on campus. The only resource on campus that specializes in the acclimation of transfer students is the Transfer Transition Program, which provides an in-person study space and events specifically for transfers. However, we would like to see more acknowledgement of transfer student status in classes, student orgs, and other social interactions. This could include the creation of a student org for transfer students to get to know non-transfers, for example. Going back to the theme of social isolation, it is also essential to point out that transfer students miss out on a lot of the experiences that are built into the typical freshman year of Madison: orientation activities, dorm living, and housing events. It seems like many freshmen or faculty members who have had the typical college experience may not even be aware of what transfer students are excluded from. The point of this video is to make the silent struggles of transfers heard. We hope to reach the attention of students and staff alike and compel them to take us into account, or at least acknowledge one thing: we are first years too.